Thank you for joining us for Carroll High School's 13th Athletic Hall of Fame ceremony. Okay. We are here to honor a coach, 6 athletes, and Carroll's first state championship team with the highest award the Carroll athletic family can bestow. Okay. My name is Dan O'Brien. I represent the Hall of Fame Selection Committee that are comprised of alumni, and I'd like to introduce them now, earlier on. Would the committee that's here tonight stand, please, while I read their names off? Jim Fromeyer, class 71, Steve Schulte, 71, Mike Sheets, out on the table, 83, Pam Tips, 91, Joey Morrow, 98, and our vice chair, Chris Youngerman, 79. Thank you, committee. I think you've all done a great job putting this together. Okay. Well, we estimate that about 4,700 athletes have played sports at Carroll between the years of 1964 and 2007, which is the latest year to be Hall of Fame eligible. Right? And tonight's athletes join an elite group that represent about 1% of all the athletes that have played at Carroll. So we are talking the best of the best, tip of the spear. Okay? It's been my honor to have gotten to know many of the Hall of Famers that have been inducted in the past, and I'd also like to recognize those that are here today, and if you would stand too when I say your name. I always start with these two, the two Jims, Jim Hemmert and Jim Kuntz. Okay? Okay. Mike Donohue, John Agnew, Chris Sackstetter, okay. Patrick O'Brien, Jeff Clemens, Dan Flaute, Dave Hyder, Mark Gerhardt, Jeff Pop, Glenn Manny, and Scott Franz. Great group of athletes. Okay. Well, anyone involved with Carroll High School these days is excited about the future. We see physical improvements in the school, whether it's a chapel or the classrooms, equipment, and there's also really a big upbeat in the attitude due to the school's leadership. The inductees were invited in Friday afternoon. They took a tour. I'm sure they will all agree with me on how great the school looks. It's just amazing, okay? And this is all in addition to the offering of outstanding academics and certainly first-rate athletic program, okay? Our first speaker tonight is a Carroll alumnus, class of 91, and a former Carroll track coach, and is truly the force that has brought about these positive changes, okay? These are great days to be a patriot. Please welcome our principal, Matt Sobleski.
Thank you, Dan. Although I do have to correct you, you left out one Hall of Famer, and she's sitting next to you, so you'll deal with that the rest of the night. Pam Staten Tips, class of 1991. It's truly my pleasure to be with all of you tonight. Not only am I a Carroll graduate and the principal of Carroll High School, I am a huge Carroll athletic fan. My dad got his job as a teacher here the day I was born, and so I literally grew up with Carroll athletics. And I can say without question, I watched each and every one of these inductees and cheered for them as a fellow student, as a kid in the stands, and in my coaching career at Carroll. All of you were exceptional, so I'm very grateful to your contributions to the Carroll community. I just have a few brief remarks, but I want to let you know that there's some great things happening in our fall athletics even today as we speak. Today, Tyler Goki, a junior at Carroll, finished 11th in the state Division I golf tournament, which is to my knowledge, the highest the individual has finished in, a Carroll athlete has finished in the golf tournament. So congratulations to Tyler. The cross-country teams, coached by Hall of Famer John Agnew and almost Hall of Famer Katie Flaute Shelton, competed today. The boys were district champs, right? I'm looking at John to make sure, and girls were regional qualifiers as well. So congratulations to your teams. The girls' soccer team is alive and well. I think Coach Maloney is here somewhere, right? Adam is here. He's one of the coaches of our girls' soccer team. They won their first tournament game. Will compete on Monday night in the Division II tournament. And our boys' team just won today. They beat Fairborn 7-0 at Wright State earlier. And Hall of Fame coach Scott Mulfenner, actually, who just walked in the door, coach of that team. So congratulations, Coach. You know, we do have tremendous inductees tonight. Standouts in wrestling, baseball, basketball, softball, volleyball, cross country, track and field, and soccer. You know, all of you have accomplished great things on the field, in courts of play. You've excelled in the classroom. You've all earned your degrees and accomplished things as professionals. As I talked to the inductees yesterday, one thing kind of stood out to me that I thought was interesting, and that is there's definite connections that are made between them and important, and they also laid very important foundations. You know, considering Marilyn Hall, she was a huge advocate for women's sports in the 1970s. Had Marilyn not advocated for women's sports, would Katie, and Terry have had the opportunities that they did to compete? And Terry Nail, she was the first girl to run cross country at Carroll. So if she didn't have the courage to join the boys cross country team, would Katie Flaute have had such an extraordinary career? Laying that foundation, I think, is really important. Jason and Mark were both incredible athletes in one specific sport, but they were multi-sport athletes. And that established an important precedent, I think, that still exists at Carroll today. The kids do a lot of different things. In a time when society says be one-dimensional, Carroll athletes do a lot of things, and those guys are a testament to that. And Carroll's first state champion soccer team, not only did you pave the way for Alex's decorated career, but I think your accomplishment put Carroll on the map. And perhaps that accomplishment secured Carroll's future as much as anything that happened in or out of the classroom since. And I think that's a really important thing for us. And you should be very, very proud of the foundation you laid, not only for soccer, but for all Carroll Patriots. Certainly high school is a time to develop the whole person. There are many areas beyond the class that we use to do this, opportunities in the course in the arts, service, academics. These are all important. I'm biased, I'll be the first to admit that, but I think of all the aspects of high school, athletics provides a student the most benefit. Lessons learned through sports about team, work ethic, commitment, adversity, confidence, these can never be taught in the classroom, but they're vital to success in life regardless of the career you choose. It's for this reason that we have this special athletic Hall of Fame here at Carroll. And you exemplify the best qualities of our athletes. You are models for your families, but for all Carroll families and all friends and all future patriots. So I'm happy to say that Carroll continues to meet the needs of young people who pursue Catholic education in the Dayton area. We continue to educate and challenge our students to do more, to be more for their families, communities, and carry Christ's message to the world. This is what our mission is each and every day. And as I toured with the inductees yesterday and talked about our school and what we're doing these days, so many of them commented on the positive culture that exists at Carroll today. There's just really great things happening, but all of them recognize, as we all do, that Carroll's facility needs some upgrades. But I'm really excited to tell you that the upgrades are coming. We are currently in the early stages of a capital campaign which will include a complete renovation of our athletic stadium, a complete renovation of all 6 of our science labs, and an endowment that will go towards tuition assistance to sustain students who want to pursue Catholic education long into the future. This is an important endeavor, and I'm excited that we will be doing these things for our future, to secure our future, and secure that Carroll High School remains the option for Catholic high school in the Dayton area. Hall of Famers, today is a great day to be a patriot because of you. Your gifts and talents have blessed this institution and helped make it special. Because of your legacy, it will be a great day at Carroll High School for many years to come. I thank you for your contributions. Everyone have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Well, we're really lucky, very lucky to have Cheryl McHenry, class of 74, as our Master of Ceremony. In fact, we as Carroll have been very lucky because she has been the Master of Ceremony of every single event we've had, except for last year because she had family constraints because of girls at Ohio State, and we understand that, okay? So thank you, Cheryl, for coming back, okay? A little history on her. She received her bachelorette degree in broadcasting from the University of Cincinnati. Has been with WHIO TV since 1981, winning 4 Emmys for breaking news and investigative reporting. And in 2013, she won 2 more Emmys for half-hour specials that she produced. Okay? She has anchored News Center 7 evening newscasts since 1991 and co-hosts the Children's Miracle Network Telethon. Okay? She's also been multiple MC of various events, including the Ray Burek Sports Award for female athletes. And she was inducted into the Radio TV Broadcasters Hall of Fame, the Dayton Area Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and she's also in Carroll's Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Heavy credentials, okay? She's here with her husband, Bob. All right, so let's bring her on up here and get things going, okay? The fun starts. Cheryl McHenry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the warm welcome, and just thanks for being here. It is indeed a great night to be a patriot. I'm happy to see a couple of young people here. I'm always happy to see the high schoolers here. I'm always amazed at how smart they are these days. I don't believe well, speaking for myself, we're that smart in those days. In fact, one of them stopped me at the door on the way in. He said, "Miss McHenry," and I said, "Please call me Cheryl." He politely ignored me and said, "Miss McHenry, what do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino?" I said, "Elephino." He said, "Exactly." Okay. I just got that, by the way. Anyway, I'm thrilled to be back here. Thrilled to see many familiar faces, and even those that aren't so familiar to me. You're all part of Carroll, and we're all family. I think back to probably late 2002. I was at work one day, and Dan O'Brien called me and said that he and Dan Weiskiver and some other dedicated Carroll alumni were starting a Carroll Athletic Hall of Fame. And he said, "Would you be willing to MC our inaugural ceremony?" Would I? Not only did I say yes, I said, "Hell yeah," which I think is a cross between an elephant and a hyena or something like that. We had that ceremony in early 2003. 13 people were inducted that night, including the legendary coach Jim Spurl. You remember him, those of you who were there at a certain time. The following year, Jim Hemmert was inducted that first year too, weren't you, Coach Hemmert? Yes, he was. He's nodding now, on cue. This following year, 2004, we came back. Jim Kuntz was inducted, and the aforementioned Pam Staten Tips. You may stand now if you like. No, she won't. She won't do it. Came back every year, 11 years straight through 2013, and then after that, it was decided that we should go to every other year for the Athletic Hall of Fame and do the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame on the opposite years. So I unfortunately had to miss in 2015 because our daughter's Parents' Weekend at Ohio State, as Dan mentioned, was happening. But it turned out to be fortuitous. I believe I learned that word in Jim Hemmert's class, because Luke Notestein was the MC. And some of you may know Luke from class of 2000. He now does TV sports in Raleigh, North Carolina. His dad, Greg, is here tonight. And Luke got to MC the night his Aunt Monica Notestein was inducted, and his cousin Chris Coleman was inducted. So it actually turned out to be a good thing. But the old girl is happy to be back with you tonight. I gotta tell you, I do love sports, and I'm good at no sports. But I do appreciate and am in awe of anyone with athletic ability. I also know that those being honored here tonight are not only blessed with athletic ability, but we're willing to put in the hard work and have the discipline to excel at your sport. And that you have to have that, no matter how gifted you are naturally. You're also blessed, and I don't have to tell you this, that your parents, just as mine did, saw fit to send you to Carroll High School, which is just a great place academically, spiritually, and athletically. Someone once told me that a good MC is like the body at an Irish wake. They need you to have the party, but they don't expect you to say very much. So I'm going to get moving because we have quite a number of very deserving inductees to hear from tonight, and this is their night. Our first inductee this evening came to Carroll the year of the Xenia tornado, which many of us of a certain maturity level remember quite well. But unlike the destructive Twister, this coach swooped in and helped develop some of Carroll's finest softball and volleyball teams over the 11 years that she graced the diamonds and courts at Carroll. And she mentored some great players, 7 of whom are in the Hall of Fame themselves. So it's only fitting that their coach is inducted too. Jointly presenting Coach Marilyn Hall for induction to the Carroll High School Athletic Hall of Fame, please welcome her best friend Michael Henson and Hall of Famer from the class of '78, Chris Youngerman.
Good evening. My name is Michael Henson. I met Marilyn Hall in the fall of 1975, going into my sophomore year in college. She had just finished a summer as a counselor for the Upward Bound program at Wittenberg University. I don't remember how our friendship developed, as it's hard to remember when Marilyn has not been a part of my adult life. We've camped together, vacationed together, grieved together, celebrated births, marriages, graduations, holidays, and all of life together with our families. Marilyn has been an inspiration in so many ways. She has been the most giving person with a giving heart, evidenced by the many summers working as a counselor at Camp New Hope, a camp for mentally and physically challenged children. Her giving heart is what has brought her here this evening. She gave so much of herself to her students as an educator and a phenomenal coach. She was my mentor when I accepted a volleyball coaching position my first year of teaching. I owe any success I may have to Marilyn's encouragement and training. Our teams scrimmaged many times. We attended coaching clinics together and talked strategy for hours. Talking. Marilyn likes to talk. Any of you who know her know she likes to talk. Of late, many of our talks turn to our faith. Marilyn is a strong woman of God who lives her faith daily. Once again, what an inspiration to all believers and non-believers. At this time of her life, Marilyn is devoted to her God and those less fortunate. God has called her to minister to women through Kairos, a weekend retreat for incarcerated women to share the love of Christ and his forgiveness. Marilyn, I am humbled by you and so proud of who you are, from where you've come and where you are going, and by what you have accomplished in the lives of people you have impacted along the way. Most importantly, I am honored to call you my best friend. I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ms. Marilyn Hall.
Woo! Okay. And she told me to speak from the heart. All right. I'm not going to ignore you guys here, but I'm basically speaking to my coach here. I'm very honored to present Coach Hall tonight. The only thing I hated about it was having her for speech class. How many of us had her for speech class? Oh my God. I hated having her for speech class. Never got above a C, but I bet y'all get an A tonight. And when I'm done, I hope somebody has a shot ready for me too. So, like Cheryl was saying, and I will call you Cheryl.
That's fine.
Okay, cool, because we're not too far apart.
That's good.
All right, good. Back then,
Title IX had just been signed, and it was really tough for female coaches. They had a lot of extra pressure on them, but she seemed to enjoy the challenge. And as you notice, when she comes up here, she's small, but by God, she's very mighty. The woman never had a losing record in volleyball or in softball in all the years that she coached at Carroll. And only one time was she 500 in softball. She was the first female coach at Carroll to lead a team in volleyball to district and sectional championship. And I think that was in, Joyce, was that in 1982? 82. She has one of her girls here tonight for that. Or Debbie, too, is here, too. Isn't she, Debbie, here? Okay, we've got two of them here tonight. Softball, she had the task of converting us old people from slow pitch to fast pitch. One year we had one game, now this is not easy to do, trust me. We played one game slow pitch and the next game fast pitch. Now you take a bat up there and you try and hit slow pitch one game and fast pitch the next game. Yeah, right. But she had the task of having to teach us that and the different styles of defenses and catching and all that stuff. And the woman had to do that, and she taught us all well. I am who I am today because of this woman. At times when I coached, I always thought back of what would Coach Hall do. I tried to treat my kids the way she treated us. She took this 13-year-old kid who thought she knew everything and made me to what she is today. She didn't let me put up with it. She didn't let me do anything wrong. She had me carrying water bottles and everything. And by the time I was a senior, I had put it all together what she was trying to do to me. She was trying to mold me into a leader and a team player. And at our senior banquet at softball, she gave me the most improved player. She had told me at that time that she was undecisive whether she wanted me to become the most improved or the most valuable. And she said she wanted me to be the most improved, not because of my athletic skills, but because of the person that I have become. And that has stuck with me. All these years, I have remembered that speech that you had given to me. And I can remember my junior year in the hall, this voice yelling down the hall, "Youngerman!" And I stopped, and you came up to me, and we had just got done in our basketball tournament, and I sprained my ankle. I don't know if you remember this. And you told me, "You'll make the team, but I can't promise you that you'll start." And I walked away, and I said, "Yeah, right, watch me." And I remembered that you wanted me to be your starting catcher that year because you were counting on me. And you didn't want me to baby my foot. So it was like, I started. I didn't baby my foot, that was for sure. And then another story that I reached out to the teammates and asked them to give me some stories about you. And one of the teammates, I'm not going to give names, but when we were seniors, you had us pick captains. And this one particular senior, the team picked her as a captain. And you came up to her and you told her that you were going to go ahead and have her be captain, but you didn't believe that she really should be. And it was just your way of saying that you knew that she could give more and that you wanted her to give more. And she knew that that's what you wanted her to do, so she put out more. We all truly loved and respected her. We wanted to win for her. At the end of tonight's ceremony, like Cheryl said, there's going to be 7 of us that are going to be in the Hall of Fame. And I don't think no one will ever do this again. Many of us went on to play volleyball and softball in college. Myself, I played softball all the way up through my 40s. We worked hard and practiced for her. She kept us team focused during the games. She was very excited when something good happened. Like if somebody six-packed somebody in volleyball, my God, she would jump up and scream, "Oh my God, did you see what just happened?" I mean, I don't know who was more excited, the girls on the bench or the coach flying up screaming, "Did you just see what just happened?" She was always, but if we didn't do something good, she was always calm. She never lost her temper with us. She would tell us how we could control the situation the next time. She was always teaching us self-understanding and control. She was every player's biggest fan. She didn't coach basketball, but she was always there at our basketball games. She focused always on the positive things, then explained how we could do things better. it's okay, or let it go, followed that you can do it better the next time. Always saying we can do this. When you as a player were upset, she would get right in your face and she would say a couple of times, look at me, and then she would say, just let it go, it's okay. She would push us as much as she could, and then she would know when to back off. The woman has such a passion for sports, and if you didn't have the passion for it, she would tell you right up front that there was no sense of even coming out and playing for her because you would just sit the bench. I mean, that's just the way it was back then, and that's the way we played. So it gives me great honor to present our coach and our friend, and now Hall of Famer, Coach Marilyn Hall.
I'm not going to be long, and I've written out a speech, and I might speak some of it, but the first thing I want to do is give honor to God. He is the head of my life, and I'm so, so blessed to be here tonight. Many years have passed since I walked those halls of Carroll High School and learned to teach and learned to coach, and I want to thank all of you alumni folks and the guy who really hired me and my sister Blanche, because she told me to go to Carroll High School. They needed a teacher, and especially the young women who allowed me to coach them in my own way, because I was learning then also. And I had a passion for playing softball. I find it difficult sometimes to say thank you and find the words to express how honored I am. Most of the time I just start laughing. It just makes me so excited to be here tonight and to look out and see all of you guys. Part of my dedication and what I know about sports comes from my family over there. My brothers and sisters, we were a sports family. My mother played softball, and she happened to be one of the best softball players around. She'd hit the ball real hard, so she didn't have to run very fast to get a home run. My brothers played football, and they were awesome, and my sisters played softball, and I have to tell you, I was not the best softball player in my family. I was not the best. I was not the second best. I think I was the third best, though. I think I was the third best. Two of the best are sitting right over there. But all of my brothers and sisters and my parents had a passion for sports. And we played sports because we loved to play sports. And so that's what I tried to teach these young ladies, that if you really love a sport, you will give 110% every time you step out on the field or the court or the wherever. I don't know how to say thank you to the Chris Barneys of the world and the Chris Youngermans and the Terry Nails and the Joyce Potts and the Maria Sprowers and Debbie Nagels and all of those hundreds and hundreds of girls who trusted me to teach them how to be an athlete, how to be a teammate, and how to be a friend. But what they taught me was even more, more than I expected in my whole life. They gave me back everything they could, every time. And I really didn't know until Chris told me. I said, "Where'd you find all these figures?" I didn't know that, and she says, well, that's just what it is, you know? I thought, that's pretty good. I'm not bragging, honest. So I love these young ladies, all of them. And I would suggest to some of you that there are a whole lot more that need to be right up here with us. And I could start naming names, but if I do, then I'll get in trouble because I'm sure to forget someone. So as we continue on with this Carroll High School Athletic Hall of Fame, I just challenge you to look at all of the athletes, all the female athletes who have dedicated so much time and effort to make Carroll High School one of the best high schools in this city. I thank God for giving me this opportunity. I thank God for allowing me to be here tonight. And I will keep you guys in my prayers and in my heart. And I thank you for this award.
She's right, there are more deserving people. I'm sure Dan O'Brien would tell you the nomination form is right there on the website, right?
Cheryl, yes.
See, you don't have to say that now. You know, there's been this trend, it seems, in recent years to have kids play one sport year-round so they get really, really good at it. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. They get burnt out. Well, there was no burnout for our next inductee because she played not one, not two, but 3 sports, maybe more, and did them all exceedingly well. So well that, get this, she was MVP her junior year in softball, MVP her senior year in basketball, and she was one of the first 2 girls ever to run cross country at Carroll, as Marilyn mentioned, on the boys' team. And guess what? She was good at that too. And as you'll hear, she's used her accomplishments to give back and share her positive experiences. Here to present Terry Nail Williams, class of 1980, for induction to the Carroll High School Athletic Hall of Fame is her softball coach, Marilyn Hall. Get back up here.
It's my pleasure and it's an honor to present to you guys an extraordinary woman, Terry Nail Williams, but I'm going to call her Terry Nail because that's who I know. When I look back on my years at Carroll, this young lady shines like a beacon of light, showing the way toward excellence in life. Now, I could tell you all kinds of things about statistics and runs batted in and all kinds of things like that. But my question becomes, who shows the heart of an athlete? Or who might be called an athlete's athlete or a coach's dream? I tell you, the true heart of an athlete can be found in my girl. Right there, Terry Nail, cross-country runner, basketball player. I think at one time she made like 13 free throws in a row, in a game, 2 games, I don't know. And one of the absolute best softball players I've ever coached. I took the word athlete and I just was looking at it and so I wrote a little poem. So bear with me. Okay. Terry is ambitious and tenacious in mind, body, and spirit. Headstrong and loving to family and those all around her. Exceptional and talented in pursuit of excellence in her life. Terry Nail is an athlete. She began her career at Carroll in 1977, and at first I was trying to figure out how'd she become a 4-year letter person in softball, because I had her on the reserve team in 1977. She said, "Coach, don't you remember, after about 2 games, you moved me up to varsity. I said, oh, and then I remembered, yeah, she played third base as a freshman. I think she led everybody in batting and hitting almost every year that she played. And she was intense in everything. You know, she broke home run records as a sophomore. She maintained a 400 batting average for forever, MVP, Patriot Award, all of those types of things. And she went through a lot of struggles just to do it sometimes, just to come to school, to show courage and dedication and all that good stuff that makes an athlete an athlete. She demonstrated the love for her family and her school by giving 110% all the time. 80% fundamentals, 20% talent, 10% heart. Every time. In her life after Carroll, she's a doctor. I coached a doctor. I think there are a few more others out there like that too, but. And she continued with these challenging goals, playing varsity softball at Idaho State University for 2 years. Then she went to the University of Oregon, Division I, and played varsity volleyball there. After graduating from college, she got her master's degree and a PhD. That makes her a doctor. All right? So, I'd like to present to you Dr. Terry Nail Williams, CEO and president of the nonprofit organization The Children Are Our Future, which continues to demonstrate excellence and courage as she works tirelessly with adults and children in the area of outdoor education and it says, inspiring transformational leadership for youth and adults in their lives. Terry Nail loves what she does. She's grown into a fine woman, a fine role model, and her heart is the biggest when it comes to working with children and showing all of us how we should live and what we should do so that we always remember that the children are our future. It's my honor and my pleasure to present to you my girl, Terry Nail.
Wow, I just told her she got an A+ for her speech. Beyond that, oh my goodness, that's a hard act to follow. Well, first of all, I wanna thank you, Miss Hall. I still call her Miss Hall, Coach Hall, Marilyn. Thank you for that beautiful presentation. When Chris called me over a year ago, I saw the message. I was in the Black Hills of South Dakota, and I saw it, and I thought, oh no, something's happened to Miss Hall. And I told my sister that, and she said, it's okay. And I called Chris back. Where's Chris? There she is. And I said, Chris, how's it going? Everything okay? She goes, yeah, it's great. You're going in the Hall of Fame. And I'm like, wow, that's fantastic. And then she said, you're going in with Miss Hall. And I jumped up in that moment because that is one of my highest honors. I know what a difference she's made for so many athletes and students. And a big part of my work, my life's work, is absolutely because of that. So I want to thank you, Miss Hall, for that. I want to thank all my coaches. I see Mark Gearhart. Where are you, Mark? Mr. Gearhart, my cross-country coach, who said yes to me and Brita for coming out. So thank you, and I want to make sure I connect with you. I want to thank you, Chris, for being super persistent. Chris has nominated me. I just was like, wow, I'm nominated, great. If I get in, great. If I don't, fine. And she's like, oh no, you're getting in. And so's your little sister, Juliet. So Julie, she's already said that. So Chris, I just really want to honor you for your passion, for your care for Carroll High School, for being a mom to your daughter, Mackenzie, and all the ways that you give back to Carroll. I mean, that's what this community is. It's like all the connections, all the people across the years. I want to thank the committee, Pam and Daniel, and let's see, a couple people that I didn't get to meet. I think there's people that helped that aren't here. So I understand everything that it took, and I just felt so taken care of. I want to thank my fellow inductees, where I'm so glad I was able to make a connection with all of them. I'm not seeing, oh, there, Katie, who destroyed every record that I possibly ever, actually, I just want to say, this is what I love, because Chris had records, and then I think I took a couple down the next year, and then Terry Hobbs blew them all out of the water the next year, and she's an inductee. And then Juliet set a record for cross country, and then where's our other Katie? It was really cool to hear Katie say, yeah, Juliet, I think I broke your 2-mile track record. But I will say that Brita and I were the first record holders in girls cross country. Yeah. And we went back and forth too, because Brita and I, we just beat each other back and forth, so I don't know who ended up with the record. So I just want to say that I really want to honor Brita. Brita was going to come to this. I wanted her to be here, but she's actually, I believe, either doing the Marine or Army Marathon in honor of her brother Paul, who was a teammate of mine. So Paul Kelly, Captain Paul Kelly. So I just want to shout out to you, Brita, wherever you are. I want to thank my teammates. I got completely surprised by several people that ran up to me, Nancy and of course Chris, and then I got so surprised by Pam Meyer and Pam Schaefer now and her husband. That I was just blown away by that. I invited Don Schutte and his wife Bonnie, and Don, he was very, very important to me. 6'3", Mr. Hemmert knows he played basketball. He didn't let anything slide. I said, don't you ever let me shoot anything over you. And so those of you, I've already shared this story. I broke my hand playing third base sophomore year, played through the season with a broken finger, and then had to get surgery. Brita was really mad because I started off my season with a cast in my arm, but it made me a better basketball player, and it made me a better softball player. And Schutte, I practiced secretly a left-handed hook. And one day, I forgot, he said I had a dribble between my legs, and I got it right over him, made it 2 points right there. And I want to also recognize another special man in my life too, and that was Todd Goman, and his wife is here. He was my best friend when I was 12. He was in the Hall of Fame at Alter High School. We played football together. Honestly, I wanted to play football first. I love football. I still love football. So I couldn't do that. I had to take that passion for football. But one of the things, I could still tackle Todd until he weighed about 200 pounds. But I also told Todd, don't ever let me win because I'm a girl. And I really, really think that made a difference. I think about my teammates, John Agnew at cross country. They never let me and Brita just win, and I don't want anybody to do that. I want you to be your best so I can be my best. I've been friends with people on my team, but I've also been friends with people on other teams. And I see all the connections in this room across the years. I mean, Juliet, like being my little sister coming 8 years later, and all my friends just showing up, and people, Debbie Nagel, where are you? She's out of the room. Yeah, just running up to acknowledge. So one of the things about the tour yesterday, where's Matt? I have never been prouder to be a patriot, a Carroll patriot, than I am in this moment because of the work that you're doing, and all of you, the connections that you've created, not just for the students, but for the families, the parents, the teachers, the support that you have for events like this, but I was completely blown away when I found out about all the activities that you have available for students, not just athletics. Like, how many club sports did you say? Like over 46? I mean, club activities, over 60. Yeah. So that is absolutely exciting to me because that is a big part of my life's work, providing positive activities for young people, opportunities for young people to connect with people that care about them and love them, and that they know that they are valued and celebrated. I experienced that myself at Carroll, and I want to be able to give that back to all the students behind me at Carroll, and I want to do that and basically give that for the rest of my life. So thank you very much for this award. This is absolutely a highlight of my life. I really appreciate it.
Our next inductee was a two-sport phenom at Carroll, outstanding in basketball and a true star in baseball. In fact, he was one of the best baseball players in the country in high school and college, where he led his team to a Big Ten championship. Here to present Jason Bullens, class of 1999, for induction to the Carroll High School Athletic Hall of Fame is his very proud dad, Jamie Bullens.
Good evening. I'm Jamie Bullens. I'm the proud father of Jason Bullens. Tonight I'm here to present him as one of the 2017 Carroll High School Athletic Hall of Fame inductees. Jason was born and raised here in Dayton. He's a homegrown prodigy. Started with St. Anthony's, went to Carroll, and then on into The Ohio State University. When I say we, I'm going to talk about me and my wife, because after nearly 40 years of marriage, we have a true partnership, and our two children are byproducts of that. We raised our children with several core values that we still live by. We live by faith, family, love, honor, and integrity. In following those core values, we've had successes throughout our life. With those core values, we've encouraged our children through the years to maintain these core values in hopes that they too would enjoy the successes that we have done, and there's no doubt in my mind that both our children have succeeded. Since Jason was born, I've had the privilege and the honor to be more than a parent to him. In his own words, I've been his father, his mentor, his coach, and best friend. Jason's always loved playing sports. Baseball, soccer, basketball, football. Ultimately, he turned his attentions toward baseball. And I have no idea where that started from, because from the minute he was born, I drug him to softball games. I coached him when he was young, started at 7 years old, and took him up to later on years. He started out in Little League, played in the Southwest Ohio League with many of great athletes that played throughout the nation. He played at Carroll High School. He played for the Midland Indians. Midland's an organization out of Amelia, Ohio, that is a prodigy of many Cincinnati Reds and Major League players, and then ultimately for the Ohio State Buckeyes. During his baseball career, he's had the opportunity to play for a lot of good coaches. Myself, Doug Rui, a man that we come to know, and me and him co-coached together a team, Miamisburg American Legion Post. Doug Evans, a high school coach for Loveland down in the Cincinnati School District. Mike Sheets, a man that I don't know that I have enough words. I get choked up talking about my son when I talk about Mike. When he first met Jason, He'd come up, well, Jamie, what do you think about this? What do you think? Is he ready to go? I don't know. And then he'd come over, he says, hey, he's going to play varsity, but he's only going to pitch for me. I'm going to send him down to reserves to get some at-bats. That's fine. He said, you don't mind? Nope. Mike asked me to drive a bus. I didn't have my CDL, but Mr. Kuntz forged the way, and I ended up getting my CDL and drove the baseball team around. It took a while. I got in the games free. So, if you'll indulge me for just a couple minutes, I don't want to be long about this. I tried to tie what I wanted to say about Jason to his experiences with Carroll High School. As a parent, a lot of times it was tough. We sacrificed, like a lot of parents in here, for your children to go to a school like Carroll, with the reputation of Carroll. Carroll played Loveland High School, Jason's junior year, down at their place. Jason had a tremendous game. He pitched very well. Also offensively, he hit 2 home runs. They beat Loveland. The coach at Loveland is Dave Evans, or was at that time. Dave was the head coach, but Papa Joe ran the team for Midland. By the time we got to Dayton, Ohio, our phone was ringing. Mr. Bullens. Yes. Dave Evans. Okay. I'm the coach down at Loveland. Your son just spanked us. Okay. I also coach for Midland Indians, a baseball team in Cincinnati that we have some renown. We knew what, I coached for the years. I know what Midland was about. We would like to offer a position to Jason right now. With what he did on that field, we want that young man representing us in the state of Ohio. I look back at Carroll. If he hadn't been at Carroll and hadn't played for Mike Sheets and they hadn't played Loveland, you have to knit all that together, he wouldn't have had the opportunity, I don't know, to play for Midland. There was a lot of tremendous baseball players that played for Midland. The second one, while playing at Midland, his mother and I, we would sit up high in the bleachers. I wanted to see him pitch. The word was out. The phenom, and Cheryl, when you in phenom, I tried to keep that out of my vocabulary because we had to grow up with that young man's head getting phenom through the door. But it got out, and I don't know, there was a plethora of Division I coaches in Amelia that Saturday afternoon, including the head coach of Georgia Tech University, that wanted him to play for Georgia Tech. They were all lined up and sitting in front of us, and we're up against the back, or the back, and I'm like, man, my wife, the way she was often, was worried. He had a tough outing. First 2 innings, he did real good to not get the hook. If I'd have been coaching, he wouldn't have made the 3rd inning. They sent him back out there that 3rd inning. Bases were loaded, no outs. I'm sure they were thinking, well, this coach from Georgia Tech stood up, put his stuff on, he goes, I drove all the way up here to see this shit, quote unquote. As parents, I'm thinking, well, as a coach parent, yeah, probably you did. Him and his entourage, they left the stadium. Jason was very fortunate. He powered through that 3rd inning. He got out of no runs. It wasn't just him, it was the team. But as a pitcher, you got to put the ball in play. He did. And where I'm going with that is, in his last official college visit to The Ohio State University, Pat Bankston, the pitching coach, we sat through a rain-soaked game at Penn State, and he took me and my wife back to the hotel. He says, where do you guys want to go to eat? I go, we've had it with the recruiting. We're just going to go to our hotel. We're going to go to our room, we're going to get a pizza, we're going to dry off. All right, I said, hey, Todd, answer a question. Yep. Why Jason Bullens? He said, you have to ask that? Yep. He said, do you remember the game in Amelia where the coach from Georgia Tech walked out? I said, yeah. He said, he didn't get to see the man I saw. To quote him, any player can have a good outing. It's a good player that can pitch his way out of trouble that becomes better. Jason maintained his composure. He said, that is the strength they look at for future Buckeyes. Shook my hand and he walked away. The story got a little bit worse because as they presented their offer to us, we as a family agreed that we would never make a decision in front of the coaches at a university. We would talk about it on the way home. They took us to brunch at the Scarlet and Gray Country Club. I excused myself, went to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. Next thing, I got Coach Bankston on one side and Jason, I don't remember the big guy that coached. They walked into the bathroom and said, so what do you think? Is he going to go? I'm going to the bathroom, and here they're wanting to negotiate in the men's room. I'm like, I'm hungry. I turned and washed my hands, and I went back out. It wasn't long on the ride home that Jason made his decision and became a Buckeye. The family that Carroll offers a young person and the family, because I have a young man that was here or is here tonight with Jason that played ball for me. The network that goes on through Carroll High School, either as an athlete, a student athlete, a teacher that comes back, was woven into Jason Bullens by his teachers, his coaches, and I think his parents and the other Carroll families. And with that, why are we here? One, Jason earned a total of 6 varsity letters. He earned his 4C award while playing baseball. His junior year in 1998, he was selected All-Area and All-Mid-Miami League. His senior year in 1999, he was selected Carroll High School MVP, first team MML, All-Area, All-State. He ranked the 8th best player by Buckeye Scout and was listed in the top 100 baseball prospects in the country. His overall batting average was a .442 for his time. His pitching record started 26 games from Sheets, ended up with an 18-6 with an ERA of 2.57. In his offseason, he earned 2 more varsity letters for basketball, where in his senior year in 1999, he was recognized as MVP at Carroll and first team Mid-Miami League. On behalf of my family, including his sister, my wife, his nieces and nephews, it is my honor to introduce my son, my hero, Jason Bullens.
I was just talking to 2 guys out getting a few drinks, and they said, I bet you're going to be up there crying. I was already doing it over there. Dad, thank you for the introduction. This is a special day, and I feel really blessed to be here. I want to start by thanking the Hall of Fame Induction Committee. Matt, again, thank you. Pam, thank you for the tour yesterday. I know it was solo, it was a little late, but it really meant a lot. I am both humbled and honored to be here. I also want to congratulate the other inductees. You guys are all great athletes. And it's just so weird that another one that's here, Alex, we grew up not too far from each other. I had to remind him what street he grew up on yesterday. We lived 2 doors, not lived, but I lived over at my grandmother's house every Sunday. And we got to go down, play soccer with Derek and Alex, and got to learn so much about them and what they've done and follow them in their career. It's just been awesome. I'm going to spend the rest of my time this evening thanking the people who played for me. You heard from my dad. all my highlights, and I appreciate that. But for me, playing sports was about team, being a leader. And I feel so blessed to have so many people that were part of my story. From the beginning of my baseball career, my family has played a huge role. Thanks to my parents, both Jamie and Linda, my sister Jessica, who was my #1 fan. You know, I was given a great and awesome opportunity to play ball. It started at Patterson Park, continued at Miamisburg Post, where my dad coached my entire career, up to the age of 16. I continued with the Midland Redskins, not the Indians. That was a 16-year-old team. But while I was there, I was coached by Michael Sheets at Carroll High School, and then, as my dad mentioned so many times, the Ohio State University. Like I mentioned, my dad coached me from when I started to 16 years old. He taught me how to hit a ball, how to throw a ball. He taught me how to be a team player, a leader. And if you practice, you practice hard, success will follow. I remember my mom and my sister coming on every road trip, being there every game and cheering me on, giving me their support, being my #1 fans. Thank you. I want to thank them for more than they ever can. I can never tell them, because you know what? Without their guidance and lifetime of support, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I truly thank you. I love you, and I can't tell you that enough. Next, I would like to thank the next most important coach, and I played for some good ones, Hall of Famers. But Coach Mike Sheets was my first high school coach that took a chance on an unproven freshman. First year he was here as a varsity coach. I don't know why. I'm sure he could tell you. But under your guidance, I continued my growth as an athlete. I grew to be a leader from a freshman to my junior year. You allowed me to watch the leaders that were in front of me. Mike Combs, Brian Westendorf, Levi Castle, Eric Ryan, and Hall of Famer Kyle Gesswein. I got to sit there and I got to learn. I had a front row seat to learn from some of the best in Carroll's history. I don't think you can pay for that kind of leadership that you see and everything else. The lessons that I've learned from there. This helped me prepare for my senior season, which I think was the most important season at Carroll High School. Once again, you heard about my career, my awards, everything else, but a little bit about my team and our year. Our season was filled with ups and downs, with injuries. It even started with me being injured. And any of you that know anything about professional athletics, anything, I mean, you have to be healthy all the time. And there was more pressure on me coming into my senior year than there was my junior year. There was talk about potential first, second round money. When you start talking about that, and I love playing sports, and I wanted to play basketball. Some people said, nope, you should stop, you shouldn't play. But I wanted to play. That year, I had 2 injuries that ended up leading to a more serious injury. One took place at the University of Dayton Arena. I was undercut and fell down on both my elbows. Popped right back up, didn't think anything about it. And then our sectional game, I was undercut. I twisted my ankle pretty bad, and they took me back to the back room and said, you know, you should just go ahead and stay out. And I said, no. I said, I'm not going to. It's my senior year. I want to continue to play. They wrapped it back up and taped it up, and I went back out there and played. That slowed my start to my senior year for baseball. Our senior year resulted in being Carroll High School's first 20-win baseball season. It was our first baseball MML championship that we brought to Carroll. It was, I believe, and just going memory, first sectional championship, and we were runner-up in districts. That was an awesome team, filled with some great seniors and juniors, and I believe that kind of paved the way for what Coach Sheets would say would be a pretty good run. 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. We had 5 other seniors: Patrick Geis, Michael Bowman, Robbie Todd, my battery mate, Scott Mater, and one of my best friends, Jimmy Wilmeyer. A little bit about that season. You know, anybody who's been up here, who's been a chance to be a captain or leader, and what I learned from the kids behind me was you go out there each and every day and you give it your all. And you want to make sure not only you're doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your team, and you're doing it for the kids that are younger than you. I mean, Chris Coleman, who's already a Hall of Fame inductee, you know, he was a freshman that year. He was really, if I'm correct, your second true freshman that you had kind of come up. And the experience that he had, I hope, was like mine, because, you know, the six of us together, we continued to grind it out through injury. We had the juniors, you know, Zach and Eric pick us up, and it was great. You know, I suffered a very serious injury. I fractured my right arm, and I didn't even know that it happened. As soon as it happened, Coach was walking out, and Dad was there, and I said, no, I'll throw another pitch. It's okay. And I threw that other pitch. It fell about 7 feet short of the catcher. But you know what? Ultimately, I got what I wanted. It was the last game. It was our district championship. Jimmy was on second base. I was at bat. And we had beat this team twice before, right where I wanted to be. 2-2 count. And I got the ball. Just so happened that ball fell about 10 feet short of a home run that would have won us the district championship and turn it on. You know, we cried and we cried and we cried. Jimmy and I were talking about this the other day. And it was there that I kind of started thinking, I go, that was the last time, and it was at Carroll, that I actually remember having fun playing the sport. You know, anybody, and there's a lot of you that played college athletics, it becomes a business. It really does. And you hear talk these days about how college athletes should be paid. Now, you want to go there and you want to have fun. You want to go there and have fun and get better. Next, I'd like to take a few minutes and thank some teachers that aren't here, but I got to see the other day. I was on a very long tour. As soon as Pam and I shot out, I saw Mr. Hofler, and man, my eyes just lit up. We had to be, actually, Pam escorted us out of the classroom because we were interrupting a test that he was giving. And has anybody had Mr. Hofler as a teacher in here? Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, but he always made it fun. He made it fun, and for me to learn, it had to be fun. I couldn't be that person where here's the book, go read it, be boring. But he always started out with a trivia question, and he always asked us, who was the pitcher that gave up Roger Maris's 61st home run? Does anybody know who that was? It was Tracy Stoller. And the other day when I sat with him, he goes, we was just talking about that the other day. And I said, I remember that. Another teacher who I found out is no longer with us, but is Mrs. Worms. When you come in and you're an athlete and you're talented, sometimes in the classroom, you lack the willingness to follow through and study and everything else. Well, she helped me realize that. She gave me my first C. And you know what? She told me that, you're not going to get by on your God-given talent. You're going to have to study. She even called my parents. My dad and I were talking about that. And it really stuck with me. And even to today, I have to prepare. Coach Spurl, so many talked about. I can't tell you how much he touched my heart. I mean, the gym classes, and I don't know how many of you were in his gym classes, but one of the things he taught me was to be on time. I don't know how many were tardy, but if you did, you found out you were in detention with him, reciting verses from the Bible, whatever it was he had to do. He taught me discipline, perseverance, and the principles of leadership, and so much so that I still have some of his stuff with me today I'd like to share with you. Quote from him, and sometimes when you heard Coach Spurl speak, you didn't know if it was him quoting it or if it was something that he read and he just kind of put his own little twist to it. But he said, leadership with virtue is composed of perception, empowerment, moral character, and principles achieved through personal strength. He also gave me the principles of leadership. It's accountability and responsibility, which equals opportunity, governed by the integrity, courage, hard work, perseverance, discipline, and respect for oneself and others. These are all achieved through sacrifice, dedication, and the power of prayer. And I think I can check off every one of those as I've kind of grown throughout my life, and I continue to live by those. Lastly, to the young kids and athletes that may be here, but two in particular, I challenge you to become great. Be different, and as I tell my salespeople, think outside the box. I think we have too many people that just want to do the norm, do the norm. As Coach Sproul would say, they're fence strappers. Become a leader in whatever you want to do. To my nephew, whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, you should want to do it and play because you want to play and you have fun. But remember, be humble, be coachable, be willing to learn, accept criticism, and strive to be great. And always remember that the team is bigger than the individual. So with that, thank you. God bless and go Pats.
Congratulations, Jason. Our next inductee was in high school around the same time as Jason, but graduated in the class of 2000. His sport is the one that seems to an observer to be probably the most personally grueling. Two guys on a mat. One wins, one loses in front of everybody. This guy hardly ever lost. He made it to state twice and came very close to winning the entire thing. And he went on to wrestle in college and then coach at the college level. And it's safe to say that wrestling still gives his life purpose. Presenting Mark DiSalvo, class of 2000 for induction to the Carroll Athletic Hall of Fame, is his very proud father, Mark DiSalvo Sr.
I say guess who I'm presenting, but it's pretty obvious. My honor and pleasure to introduce him, to have had the opportunity to coach him. I was on the staff when he was in high school, and I thank Mr. Kuntz for giving me the opportunity to be on the staff. A lot of just great memories, sectional finals, district finals, state finals, just really neat. And this ceremony, and I look in the program and see the different years that people graduated, and just the support, it's unbelievable. So really, really neat. Just personally speaking, success in athletics, I would say, is conditioning, strength training, skill and technique development, dedication, and then two other things that are real important. Relentless pursuit of a goal, which you could apply it to anything, and accountability. You know, you can have the greatest athlete or the greatest worker in the world, but if they don't show up, it's not going to be not going to work out too well. And Mark had these traits. He was just always there, always working hard, knew what he wanted to do, set goals, reviewed the goals. I coached for a couple of years. Actually, there's got a picture of him in a Alter Knight wrestling T-shirt. I coached a couple of years at Alter, and Ed Domsites, who's still coaching there, one of the guys on the football team was going to come out for wrestling, and I asked Ed, just a little bit about the fella, and he said, if I ever was in a plane crash on a mountain and stranded, I'd want Rick to be with me. And that's what I feel about Mark. I mean, just the type of person you can count on. He ran cross country, lettered twice, played baseball, played soccer. So he was running cross country and playing soccer at the same time. No wonder he's got some creaky hips. Tried to play multiple sports. We, in the off season of wrestling, we were in Columbus at a freestyle tournament, and the plan was to get back to Dayton, back to Miamisburg, and make a doubleheader at Rice Field for the baseball team. And tournament ran along, as tournaments will do, and we passed the Carroll bus. They were going back to school on 725, and we were just coming into town, so we kind of thought at that point, probably better just specialize in one sport, to be fair. High school, 33-9 record his sophomore year, 38-2 junior year, 37-8 his senior year. And there's some parallel with the high school and collegiate qualifications. 3-time state qualifier in high school, Division I, three-time national qualifier, Division I. Won the league, sectional in the district 3 times, two-time Mid-American Conference champion. I believe it was his junior year at the All-Ohio Catholic. He got the Outstanding Wrestler Award, and then 20 minutes later, we were getting ready to leave on the bus, and one of the tournament directors came up and said, "We miscounted the votes. Can we have it back?" We were like, okay. So, but he did, his senior year in college, he got the Outstanding Wrestler, so that was pretty neat. Two-time state placer, he was second and third. Two-time All-American, Division I, two-time academic All-American also. He was the Patriots' first state finalist, and I think Coach Gerhardt, there's been 4 since then. 4 state finalists, I believe. Junior year, with the record of 38-2, he lost to one guy by 1 point twice. I think we lost him at the Medina tournament, and then we lost him in the state finals. Interesting enough, St. Ed's, where the fellow was from, their coach, Greg Urbis, saw Mark at a freestyle event, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, and said, "Well, we got you in high school, but my guy was never an All-American, and you were, so you got us in the end." So that was pretty neat. As a presenter, as a coach, I'd like to thank the administration of Carroll High School, the Athletic Hall of Fame Committee. Just, as I said, a neat production here. My mom and dad, who supported him like crazy. My dad, I remember when, I don't know if it was junior high, we were at West Carrollton. My dad had a little bit of more than a little bit of a heart issue. He was taking nitro pills in the bleachers, I guess to calm the excitement. Carol and Pete Morrow, it's Joey's grandma and grandpa. They were just always there. Accountability, good people. His sister Kara, who was a fabulous sibling role model. She was dedicated to cross country and to track and to swimming, and she would tape goals up on the ceiling of her bedroom, so first thing she saw when she fell asleep, first thing she saw when she woke up, and that was, Mark learned from those things. To his mother, we had a wrestling mat. We lived right by Carroll. We had a wrestling mat in the living room, and his mother would actually drill wrestling technique. She came from a wrestling family, so, and she was about the right weight, so. Go get him. And she was a really good cook, kept him on weight, and all that stuff. I talked to Coach Mulfenter this week. I said, "I've never presented anything like this, and as a coach, and I'm presenting my son, what do I say?" And he said, "Well, just, tell some funny stories." And I thought, bus rides to wrestling events, a lot of guys are cutting weight, which is kind of a black eye on wrestling, but they're not real happy. And then after the tournament, everybody's pretty much tired, sleep on the way home. So not a whole lot of real funny stories, but that's the way it goes. Scott Pergram, who's a local, he was state champ out of Middletown, a lightweight years ago. He lived close to Carroll, right there by that Dayton Elementary School, and he coached throughout Mark's career. Just a really good role model. Really neat guy. Coach Gerhardt, who is just, he's always there. I mean, it's in all facets of the sport. Coaching, running practice, making sure the guys stay involved in the off season, and just help get Mark on the Ohio national team, which all that stuff played together. Mr. Kuntz, we had one home, I think it was a home tournament, ended up being like a quad meet because the weather got terrible, and instead of canceling it, he stayed with us, and we were shoveling the sidewalks and getting people in there, and the guys got to compete for that day. So just, he always went above and beyond, especially for wrestling. Phil Anglem, who was a local guy, helped Mark. Jim and Jeff Jordan up in St. Paris, always very helpful. Teammates, Jeff Clemens, Nick Turbay, Tim Wiley, Anthony Stevens. I think 2 of those guys are in the Hall of Fame. Those guys went above and beyond, kind of set the attitude for the team to reach a level that it reached, and a lot of fun times with those guys. In the off season, things were probably a little more fun, a little more low key. So So I would like to present my son, Mark DiSalvo.
Thank you, man. That was great. Surprisingly, we think a lot alike. There's a lot of parallels with our thank yous, but mine might have a different angle. So first, I want to start this evening in congratulating all the other inductees. Again, to be a part of this evening is a great honor, and to share the evening with you guys is something that I'll remember forever. Thank you, Pam, Dan, and Joey Morrow for all the communication leading up to this. Yesterday, being back on campus in the school building, 17 years, I think, I hadn't walked those halls. So it amazed me, the transformation that the school has had, the school itself and the community that Matt is building through his leadership. That's something that everybody in this room can get excited about and stand behind when it comes to probably a lot of these tough asks and building momentum for these capital campaigns and everything else that the school really needs to do to continue to grow and be that Catholic school in the Dayton area. So all exciting things going on your campus, and keep up the good work. I'm honored to have this opportunity to share my experiences and perspective on my time at Carroll High School, but most importantly to give thanks. I am standing up here being honored, but it was the cumulative effort of a lot of people and a lot of coaches over a lot of years that is making this evening possible for me. I'd like to start first with my family, always the most important, right? So my parents, they were very smart and strategic. I had the easy job. I was the guy that just had to listen to what I was told and do it consistently and do it with a lot of effort, right? Because if I didn't do it with a lot of effort, I heard about it. All right, so I listened and I did it hard. And they had the challenging job. They had to find good people to put me around. Teachers, coaches, role models, and year in and year out, they found a way to do that. They had to find challenging environments. Once I reached the top of one level, it was like, boom, I started back over. They put something else in front of me that I had to chase down and overcome. So they did a fantastic job. Whether they knew what they were doing or not, and whether it just worked out that way, they were very strategic in developing me as an athlete and as a person. They were there always to celebrate every success. They were there to motivate me through the setbacks. And believe me, there were plenty of setbacks in a career a wrestling career that started at 3 years old through 24 as I graduated and finished my college career. So blessed to have them in my life, and probably impossible to thank them ever. But they did a lot for me and my sister to make sure that we had everything we needed to be successful. My sister, like my dad said, she taught me how to train. I left little Immaculate Conception grade school, K through 8, and I thought I was a big deal. And I walk onto Carroll's big campus, over 1,000 students, and quickly I learned why my sister was logging these extra miles every summer and lifting in the garage on her own and cross-training and doing all this stuff, year-round. No break, just a relentless pursuit of some goal that I couldn't wrap my head around as a 9th grader on Carroll's campus. So she found her passion at Carroll High School, and she pursued it. And that, in turn, taught me how to locate, what I wanted to become passionate about and chase it down. My grandpa and my grandma, two of my biggest fans. I think, I'm not sure if they ever missed a match during my high school years. I know travel became a challenge during my college career, but they were at everything. They always cheered the loudest and the hardest. And the cool thing was they always bought me a t-shirt at almost every tournament we went to. So I have still drawers and drawers full of t-shirts from all of these events, from all over the country. My wife, although she was not a part of my life during my high school years, she probably had the more challenging job of supporting me through my college career. And I'm so blessed to have her in my life. Recently, within the past 3 years, she's given me the two best gifts an old washed-up wrestler could ever have, and that's two boys. So they're 3 and 4 months old, so we're pretty close to getting them training and drilling and starting this same sick process over again. Moving on, my coaches. My dad, like he said, was my coach youth, age of 3, we'll call it all the way through college. He was there in the stands during my college years and always consistently providing technique advice, training suggestions. You know, when I was down, he picked me up. When I needed a ride to Iowa State to wrestle in an open tournament, he threw me in the car and drove through the night to get me there to wrestle, lose my first match, and wrestle 7 straight matches to come back and take third. He was just always there, 3 years old through high school. So thank you. Coach Mark Gerhardt, like my dad said, consistency through the years in many forms, and that was wrestling skills, that was organization of the program, that was daily Bible verses, daily motivational quotes that he put on the wall, and he kept everybody together, everybody moving in the same direction. And I'll dive in further in a little bit here on how he truly created a lot of these moments behind the scene that we got to experience during our high school years. Coach Scott Pergram, he couldn't be here this evening, but I did talk to him today. By the luck of geography, Middletown High School's only state champion wrestler, who was like exactly my size, lived within 2-minute walk of my house behind where I grew up, behind Carroll. He loved to train, he loved to run, he loved to wrestle, lift weights, and Coach Pergram, for my high school years, took me under his wing, probably sophomore year on, and really helped me, you know, reach the highest potential that I could during those years and beyond. Still a good friend to this day, and one heck of a barber in Springboro there, if you guys are looking for a good haircut. Coach John Agnew and Coach Sobleski, those 2 years that I ran cross country, they enlightened me to a sport that I really didn't even know existed. And they gave me these short shorts and this like tank top and mile repeats and all this crazy stuff and made me run a lot. And from those 2 years on, really running became a passion of mine through you could ask my college coach. I was the best runner on my college wrestling team. But what you guys instilled in me in those years, training hard and mixing that with fun and a good social environment, that was the most fun I've probably ever had on an athletic team, because in all honesty, wrestling is not that much fun. So we really enjoyed our 2 years of cross country there, but then had to focus on what I think was going to open the doors to a college education. Coach Graham and Coach Vukskovic, Scott is what I called him. So my freshman year, I wanted to make one of the soccer teams real bad, and I tried out and ended up essentially getting cut. But there was a Reserve C team that they kind of retained a group of us, and they called it Reserve C, which hurt a little bit, but it was still the opportunity to not practice and play soccer games. So I thought it was awesome, and I got to run cross country. So during that period, we had 2 great coaches that led us through that soccer season and gave me the flexibility to do cross country. So I thank Coach Malfenter for opening the door to cross country and giving me 2 Reserve C coaches. So. Coach Jeff Rush, he was a big influence in my life. He's actually, I would call him a legendary youth coach. He coached us in everything growing up at Immaculate Conception Grade School, whether it be soccer, baseball. He knew every sport, so he said. I'm not even sure if he did, but what he did know how to do is motivate us to achieve great things. I mean, we had great baseball teams and great soccer teams. It was awesome to have him touch my life. Coach Vince Wiley, great junior high coach. Jim and Jeff Jordan, Coach Wise at Beavercreek. Coach Peck at Vandalia Butler, Coach Bulgaris, Coach Stevens at Vandalia Butler, and Phil Angle. So just some names that are dear to my heart, and wanted to put that out there. Third, my teammates and training partners. A young man by the name of Kyle Ott. He was an 8th grader and I was a freshman. He wrestled at Huber Heights, Wayne, and he was very advanced in the sport of wrestling and well beyond his years as far as knowing how to train and be an elite athlete. He went on to Illinois, University of Illinois, and he was actually a 2-time NCAA finalist, 3-time All-American. Unbelievable college career, but he took the time to hold my hand and let me catch up with him. And he taught me how to train that year, my freshman year of high school, and opened some doors to some other camp opportunities and kind of led me to the point where we're lifelong friends and stay in really close contact. But Kyle was there for me. We were inseparable training partners for probably 4 years of high school and even into our college years. Jeff Clemens, I know he's somewhere in here, but Jeff was, we couldn't really work out together. It was a bit of a weight spread but between us. But as a big guy, there was nobody that could train like Jeff Clemens could. This guy was not shy to meet me, after practice for an extra run or lift at Bally's Total Fitness in Kettering. I don't even know if it's there anymore, but that's where we would do it. Extra practices at Jeff Jordan's wrestling club, either at Graham or Vandalia Butler High School. But Jeff was always there by my side, training with me, and I was always amazed by his work ethic and athletic ability, and hands down the best guy to ever wear the Carroll High School wrestling singlet. So my experience was very unique, and I'll quickly talk about it. I don't want to go on too long here, but it was unique from the standpoint that we were together. There was a group of us together for 12 plus years, right? And that's what it takes to do what we did at the state level. So we had a group of dedicated families that embarked on this organization that actually Mark Gerhardt created, the Miami Valley Kids Wrestling Association. Still exists today, still features close to 3,000 participants that their season comes to an end at a championship tournament at the Nutter Center every year. It's amazing to witness if you want a real entertaining Sunday. It's quite a tournament. So Coach Gerhardt created this organization, and this group or this structure allowed us, these guys from all these Catholic feeder schools, to train together for this extended period of time. So we all worked through that. We learned our basic skills of the sport, and we started to create this bond that would hold true through our high school years. As we left that structure, we went on to junior high, and the junior high, Coach Wiley and my dad ran that practice, and it was a facility by the name of Pete's Pit, and I don't know if it's named after Grandpa Pete Morrow. Okay, so Grandpa Pete Morrow, Joey's grandfather, had this facility. It was a very unique training facility that we held our junior high practices with, and I think the intensity that the practices could reach in this setting really kind of took us all, or prepared us for what we were about to get ready for, and that was high school. So as we worked through that together, we all entered high school together, and this group that I entered high school with was fortunate enough that we had upperclassmen like Joey that had placed in the state and kind of paved the way, but a lot of them had older brothers. You had Andy Clemens, Andy Wiley, Greg Turbay, Sean Merkel, Chad and Shane Ellis, just to name a few. I was trying to think through this morning when I jotted this down, but we had these guys that showed us how to work and how to be tough. And so for 12 plus years, that togetherness and the hard work of the families and the athletes and the people that created this structure of the MVKWA, actually, I attribute a lot of these special moments that we got to experience, winning the state duels and doing great things once we reached that high school level during those years. To close my years at Carroll High School, they provided me the opportunity to become passionate about the process of preparation. Whether it was soccer, cross country, wrestling, baseball, preparing for a test, and today, career and family. No matter the challenge, I learned how to prepare. I knew how to manage success and not think I'm too good. At any point, you're always trying to get better and learning, and to manage failure, adjust that structure, adjust that plan, and begin the process again, prepare again. And that's kind of what I took on beyond my years at Carroll, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to learn that during my time there. So thank you all, and look forward to hearing everybody else speak. So thanks.
She is, simply put, one of the best runners who ever came out of Carroll High School. To think that her senior cross-country season was 16 years ago, and her school record still stands. She was equally impressive in track, and she broke the school record in the 3,200-meter run. She was coached at Carroll by a man who's also an elite runner in his own right and well known in the world of distance running. I'm going to let him tell you more about Katie Flaute Shelton, class of 2002. Here to present Katie for induction to the Hall of Fame is Hall of Famer John Agnew.
So before I introduce Katie, I want to congratulate a lot of the inductees because I was friends with a lot of them. So Marilyn stepped out, but like many here, I was in her speech class and wishing I had paid attention. I was classmates and teammates with Terry Nail and her younger sister, I call her Julie, but Juliet, was one of the first superstar runners that I had the pleasure of coaching, and hopefully a future inductee into the Hall of Fame. I also coached, as you just heard, Mark DiSalvo, who was an outstanding cross-country runner and did a little bit of wrestling too. I graduated a year before the soccer championship, so I knew a lot of those guys that are hanging out drinking heavily over there. And their coach, Mike Donohue, had 3 sons that ran cross-country, so it's great to see everybody, and congratulations on your honor tonight. So well before Katie started at Carroll, her brother Dan came out for cross-country as a freshman, and for the next 11 years we had a Flaute on the cross-country team. Those were very good years for Carroll cross-country, and I got to know the Flaute family very well during that time. Katie's parents, Sue and Ned, are awesome people. But their family and extended family is kind of a wild bunch. I remember going to Dan's high school graduation. Katie was probably in 5th grade, and I watched the Flaute clan do keg stands in the backyard. So those were pretty good times. Both of her brothers, Dan and Kevin, were outstanding distance runners, and so I anxiously awaited the arrival of Katie at Carroll. Fortunately for me, I discovered that there's a huge difference between Flaute boys and the Flaute girl. Other than running talent, they had nothing in common. Katie was nice and friendly. Katie was quiet. Katie was a cute kid. Katie didn't cause trouble. I never had to meet with the administration because of something Katie did. Katie had a natural, great running form. Kevin's was pretty good, but Dan was an ugly runner. Body parts going every which way, and the pain of the race was on his face, and it was usually covered in drool. It was hard to watch, but he did amazingly well because he was so mentally tough. And I think that's one of the other common things among the family is that mental toughness, because even though she doesn't look like it, Katie was a frickin' beast. She, oops, got to turn the page. So finally, Katie comes to Carroll as a freshman. I think she weighed like 70 pounds. She was really tiny, but she had a huge impact on the team, and I think that was the really special thing about her. She made everybody on the team better, and her confidence was contagious, and just everybody, and she had a calming effect on her teammates, and that really paid off. The year before Katie arrived, our women's team did not qualify for regionals, and the only addition to that varsity team was Katie. And her freshman year, not only did they make it to regionals, but they made it to state and finished 6th in Division I, which is phenomenal. During the 4 years at Carroll, and she was always in Division I, she led her team to 4 Mid-Miami League championships, won 3 individual titles, took the team to the regional finals all 4 years, and qualified the team to state as a freshman, her freshman year and senior year. She qualified individually to state 3 years and finished in the top 10 in Division I as a junior and a senior. She was equally dominant in track, where she finished 4th in the state in the 3,200 meter in Division I, won numerous Mid-Miami League titles, and did other great things leading the team those years. After the state cross-country meet her senior year, we went to this big event, the Foot Locker Cross-Country Regionals, which is in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It is an incredible event. There's several hundred runners on the line, the best runners from 15 states. And so there's probably over 30 state champions with the multiple divisions in each of the states. They toe the line, and the top 8 get invited to the national championships in San Diego, so pretty darn elite. It had snowed all week of the race, and it was really cold and rainy the day of the race, and the course was just a mud pit and really sloppy. But Katie was a mudder, and she ran tough through the slop and ended up an amazing 12th, and was just 4 seconds off of being invited as one of the top 32 runners in the country. During that race, she beat a number of notable people, but she beat the Division I and Division II state champions from Ohio, several other state champions, and 2 future Olympians. She could be considered the best athlete ever to put on a Patriot uniform. After that race, we were surrounded by college coaches. I talked to many of them before, but now I was like their best friend. I'm pretty sure the Louisville coach offered her $100,000 to come run for them, but she ended up accepting a scholarship at the University of Tennessee, which was a national powerhouse in track and cross country. And she had a stellar career there. They were in the SEC, which is arguably the best conference for track and field, the toughest conference for track and field. Her cross-country team won 3 SEC titles. She was all league 3 times, I believe, and her track team did equally well and actually won the national title in indoor one of her years. So phenomenal collegiate career. She's now a doctor of physical therapy, Dr. Katie, in the area, and is giving back as one of our cross-country coaches at Carroll. She's married to another great Patriot, Zach Shelton. And so now don't say anything when she comes up here, but you may notice she no longer weighs 70 pounds. And she apparently developed quite a beer belly from drinking. So please give it up for Katie.
Thank you, John. Luckily for all of you, I'm terrified of public speaking, so this will go quickly. When they first told me I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was obviously honored. But then when they told me I was to prepare a speech, I thought, really? Have you been around my family, or more specifically my brothers? You know they are never usually short on words, or creative wording for that matter. And since I'm not as talented as a public speaker, I decided to let them prepare my speech for tonight. Just kidding, Principal Sableski. And actually, the first part of my speech really goes a lot like his. I first want to congratulate all of the fellow inductees on this great accomplishment. We're among the 1% of Carroll alumni who get this honor. As we all got to reconnect or meet for the first time these last few days, I realized everyone here also played a major part in the future success of their respective sport at Carroll, and in the case of Coach Hall and Terry, a whole gender. I would like to specifically thank these two for being pioneers of women's athletics during their time at Carroll. Their efforts provided Katie and I and other female athletes the ability to showcase our athletic talents and become successful both in high school and post-collegiately. The soccer team for being the first team in school history to win a state title. They really paved the way for more state title teams and individual champions at Carroll. Men's soccer, arguably the most successful program at Carroll, also has Alex to thank for their recent successes. With all of the great players they have had over the years, he still remains at top of the leaderboard on many of their record lists. Similarly, Mark and his successes with wrestling propelled the team to a great few years of success on the state level shortly after his graduation. So again, I congratulate my fellow inductees not only on their individual accomplishments, but also on setting the bar high for future Carroll athletes to come. While many may presume running as a largely individual sport, I have many people to thank for my successes. First, I would like to thank my many coaches, Coach Fantuzzo, Coach Bartlett, Coach Ostdyke, Principal Sobleski and his wife Mary Kate, my brother Dan, and of course John. Although at times I may not have really liked them for putting me through a tough workout or practice, it was their motivation and confidence in me that really enabled me to be so successful. Especially John, who has this great talent of making every situation so positive and so motivational, and I think that is a large reason his athletes have been so successful. In fact, I think he may even hold the record for giving the most induction speeches here at the Hall of Fame. I would also like to thank my brothers, Dan and Kevin. Whenever I would win a race or run a great time, they were there to quickly bring me down to earth and keep me humble. But we're also among those who believed I could do much more than I thought I was capable of. Although, in recent years, I think they both may have conceded that I am finally the fastest Flaute. Last, I want to thank my parents. I don't think they ever missed a game or meet from the time I first started playing sports. Even collegiately, when most of my meets were in places like Florida and South Carolina, they were among my lone fans. That, or they just wanted a reason to get out of the cold Ohio weather. But seriously, thank you to all of my family, friends, and coaches for making me the person and athlete I am today, and thank you to the committee for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. And then one more thing, I also want to thank my husband, Zach, who has put up with me with all my nervousness this week. It's his birthday today, and I promised I would embarrass him, so if you see him, say happy birthday.
Congratulations, Katie, and happy birthday, Zach. Our next inductee's name was synonymous with soccer. Played varsity all 4 years with tremendous success and led his team to league and district championships. He went on to coach college soccer for a team that had had a losing record for years before he came along, and voila, he made them winners. He's still coaching today for Chaminade-Julienne, a team that is lucky to have him. Here to present Alex VanderSluijs, class of 2003, for induction to the Hall of Fame, are two other fine Carroll grads, his brother Derek and his sister Gretchen.
My name is Derek, Alex's older, less talented brother. So not many know this, but he was also inducted into the Wilmington College Hall of Fame last weekend. So 2 Hall of Fames in a 7-day period. Not bad. And I was fortunate enough to play with him in both high school and college. When Alex told me about this induction, I was not surprised, but extremely honored he asked me to present. I'm going to start by a story I don't think I've really told anybody, and it's kind of funny that I saw the newspaper out there. But My senior year, Alex's junior year, we were selected for co-athletes of the week or month, whatever it was, by the Dayton Daily News. He had something like it was 13 goals at the time, 8 assists. I had 8 goals, 13 assists. I was on the phone with my reporter as Alex handed it to me. And the reporter revealed Alex was actually the only one selected for the award. He said, when Alex was talking to the reporter, he said, well, we have the same stats, just goals versus assists. So we should both have it. Still touching to this day. Not too many 16-year-olds think like that. So, and not too many people look up to a younger brother, but I do. True leader, on and off the field. On the field, Alex demanded perfection from himself and his teammates. His passion for the game and leadership is like anything I've ever seen. It was that passion that made him such a great player and guide him who he is today. Alex was the type of player every team needs. He was the type of leader every team needs. A leader that was respected by each and every teammate. He was a leader who was extremely hard worker, led by example. A leader who he kept teammates motivated and optimistic. His intensity was contagious. And if anyone's ever played with Alex, he's intense. Alex encouraged his teammates to elevate their level as he was always elevating his. Every player on the team improved because of Alex's presence. He made players better. Alex was the heartbeat of each and every team he was on. Alex made his presence known. Off the field, as a brother, Alex and I were very competitive with each other. He hated to lose. Anyone that has played with Alex would say the same thing. A loss affected Alex for days. And I don't know of anyone who hates losing more, except for maybe my son. I always say I'm raising you, Alex. You're going to have to help me with this one. I never really saw it as a hatred of losing at the time, but more of his will to win. As a teammate, it was motivating and inspiring, or we just didn't want to piss Alex off. As a brother, I saw it as a hatred of losing, especially to me over a video game or something stupid. However, it was always a clean slate when we stepped on the soccer field. We always seemed to know where to draw the line. The only reason I would say halfway decent at the sport was because Alex was always pushing me. Anytime I wanted to take a break, Alex was like, nope, let's go. I was talking with Coach Molfener this week and asked, some things what he remembered on Alex. And he was the target. He was every team's, what's the word I'm looking for? He was every team's scouting report. It was shut Alex down. Alex still found a way to put the ball in the back of the net, which is a true sign of a great player. He knew how to deal with adversity. And I remember his senior year coming to watch a game, and teams would designate one player to just follow Alex everywhere. Even when Alex was being subbed off the field, that player would walk Alex off the field. He was that good. But he always found a way to put the ball in the back of net with 2 people marking him the entire game. This led him to be the most prolific scorer in Carroll history. Freshman year, Alex was varsity 4 years, and at the time, it was kind of unheard of a freshman making varsity in men's soccer. But he was getting his feet wet. And as Coach Molfener say, he and Alex and I were running around with like chickens with our heads cut off. But freshman year, he netted 7 goals. Sophomore year, he led the team in goals with 21, ranking him 7th all-time in most goals in a season. He was first team All-Area South and first team All-League. Junior year, he was first team All-Dayton, first team All-Area South, first team All-League, and he was the team's leading goal scorer again with 22 goals, ranking him 6th all-time most goals in a season. This was just Alex warming up. Senior year, All-Central Region, first team All-State, first team All-Dayton, first team All-Area South, first team All-League, the Miami Valley Division I Player of the Year, the Mid-Miami League Player of the Year, the team's leading goal scorer with 36 goals, ranking him first all-time in Carroll history with most goals in a season. To this day, Alex is still ranked in Carroll history with most goals in a career at 86 goals. To put that into perspective, the player ranked second has 65. I asked Coach Molfener if he thinks this record will ever be broken. He said no, I don't think it will. Alex is also ranked first with most goals in a game. and he's ranked 4th all-time in career assists. So we passed a little bit. That's good. Over his high school career, his teams went 63 wins, 9 losses, 5 ties. 4 of those losses were tournament losses. So while at Carroll, Alex has only lost 5 regular season games in a 4-year period. And when I mentioned earlier that Alex hates to lose, I think a more appropriate statement would be that Alex doesn't know how to lose. Vince Lombardi said, "Winning means you're willing to go longer, work harder, and give more than anyone else." This is exactly what Alex did. Alex is extremely deserving of this honor. I couldn't be more proud to call him my brother and best friend, Alex VanderSluijs.
Oh, man, give me a second. Give me a second. Whew, okay. I want to thank everybody that's here. I want to thank my family, my wife's family, my friends that are here, and a fellow teammate, Adam, who's here as well. This is such an incredible honor. I want to congratulate all the other recipients as well. It's just such an honor to be here with you. And a big, kind of motivating factor for me always at Carroll was seeing the state championship banner and wanting that so badly. It's funny how some of the speakers are talking, and a lot of this stuff comes full circle. And growing up with Jason and those stories, I mean, it's the community around Carroll is incredible. It's really second to none. So I want to thank the Carroll High School, the administration, the Hall of Fame committee for my induction, and it truly is an amazing honor. I want to thank my Carroll family. First off, Carroll is an incredible place, and the value of Catholic education is something that I value, and I always will. It guided me in my judgments and my decision making, and surrounded me with people that made me better, and it surrounded me with people that cared about me, and that's really what Carroll High School is. Carroll gave me all the tools to be successful. Teachers pushed me to be better. Coaches pushed me to be better, and I have a lot of people to thank from those times there. So, my Carroll family, thank you very much. I've got to thank Coach Mulfenner. Coach Jones is not here, if you know Coach Jones, but Coach Mulfenner here. I got to say thank you so much for taking a chance on a freshman. Belief. He saw belief, or he believed in me and saw potential in me. And at the time, I still really don't see it to this day, but I appreciate the fact that people saw it in me. In that moment, being on varsity my freshman year is really a catalyst for, I think, my soccer career. That was the moment I felt I could be great. And to have that belief from a coach is incredible. And he's a big reason why I wanted to become a coach. Everybody, it's funny when you're at Carroll. Coach Mulfenner was the coolest guy ever. So then you get older and you learn differently. But I had to throw that in there, man. But he's a big reason I wanted to become a coach. I just envied the presence he had, the way that he could motivate players, and the spin that he put on his motivational talks and his pump-up speeches, and they really touched me. And it's a big reason why I got into coaching is I've had great coaches, and him being the one that really started it all off with believing in me coming in my freshman year. Now I've got to tell a quick story. Mulfenner's going to hate me for this. So I make varsity my freshman year. But I didn't really get to practice my first practice. My family's, I'm going to be embarrassed as well. So it wasn't hazing. I don't want to call it hazing. It was a rite of passage is what I call it now. So we ran complexes our freshman year, or as a varsity, we ran complexes around the whole stadium. And so we're running. It's my first practice, and I'm just this little kid, like so excited to be there. And we get to like the top of the school, and all the seniors tackle me, and I'm like, what is happening? And all the seniors then, they've got a roll of duct tape, and they duct tape me to a fence in front of school during cheerleading practice. And said, welcome freshmen. But it was a rite of passage. It was a proud moment for me. I was like, if this is what happened, this is what's got to happen. So, and those guys, Kevin McCormick's and Dave Castells, and just guys that were hilarious. So I didn't really practice a whole lot in my first practice because I was duct taped to a fence in front of cheerleading practice. So that was my first experience being on varsity, a memorable one. I want to get a little more serious. I'm going to do my best to keep my cool. I got to thank my family. I'm going to look down and not look at you guys, okay? I got to thank my family. I love them so much. I got to first thank Derek for inspiring me and being a great mentor as an older brother. Derek was always making the right decisions, and I envy that. And he always knew what he wanted, and I still envy that. Derek provided me with my hatred for losing. So the reason I'm here speaking as an inductee is because Derek provided me my hatred for losing. I lost at everything growing up. I remember losing at imaginary games, which is we would play Army Men and just shoot fake people, and I lost. And all these series of events, we'd play basketball and soccer growing up, and I lost so much that it eventually got to a point where I was like, I'm never losing again, ever. And that guided my life. It truly guided my life. I wanted to be great. I wanted to be better than Derek, and it made me better than a lot of other people in the meantime. I spent most of my childhood trying to be better than him and trying to beat him. And in the end, it led me to this work ethic that I just didn't know existed, and it's guided me ever since. And he talked about it. I can't stand losing, and it started with that, losing at Army Men, a fake imaginary game. So I love you so much, and Gretchen, I love you so much. Both played sports at Carroll, and I was lucky enough to play college as well with Derek. I have to thank my mom and dad. Lastly, I'm trying to write a speech, and how do you thank people that have given you absolutely everything? And the answer is that you can't. I just hope I've made you proud, and I just love you guys so much. They were the best parents. They valued Catholic education, which is so meaningful to be around like-minded people of faith and guiding your moral compass. And you realize now how important that is. They made a lot of sacrifices growing up. They would do anything for us. And we had a very awesome house in East Dayton. And it was a very tiny backyard, maybe like the size of this strip of carpet here. But we had a garage, and we loved playing soccer, and we painted a square on the garage, and would just kick balls against this garage. And the panels are coming off, and the paint's coming off, the windows are breaking, but that's what they would do for us. We moved to Riverside, and another small side yard, not even like a backyard, a side yard on the street. And my dad went to Lowe's or Home Depot and bought a bunch of PVC and engineered some PVC soccer goal to put in the side yard, and so we could train and practice. And those are the sacrifices that they made. Our club team traveled all over the country to play. and they sacrifice so much time and money for our passions. And I can't express enough how much that meant and how much it still means. We had the best childhood growing up, and it's something that I hope I can give my family someday, and if truly led by example as parents. So, oh jeez. So I want to wrap up. No one gets here by themselves. I'm just extremely thankful and humble to be here. And believe it or not, I was in Coach Spurl's study hall, and you didn't study in study hall, in Coach Spurl's study hall. You took notes about life. And at the time, you're just going, "Whoa, oh my gosh, I'm taking notes on life in my study hall." And Coach Spurl I loved him. He was great. He would always talk, "God, you're such a good soccer player. You should have played football." You should have been a quarterback. And, I don't know why he ever thought that. But he was just so nice to me and always talked to me. And I remember taking notes one time, and of all the complex quotes that he would throw out there was one simple one that has always stuck with me, and it is life is about others. And it's always just stayed in my heart and in my mind. And I try to live that way today from words from Coach Spurl is life is about others. So I love Carroll High School. I've had incredible memories and lifelong friendships that I'm extremely grateful for, and I very much appreciate this honor. Thank you.
During the 4 years our next inductee spent at Carroll, just as Alex's name was synonymous with soccer, her name equaled basketball. Can you imagine a player being named the MVP her freshman year and every year after that? She was such a standout that she graduated as Carroll's all-time leading scorer, and you can bet the other schools she played against were really happy to see her move on. We are happy to honor her tonight. Here to present Katie Streck Klingner, class of 2004, to the Carroll Athletic Hall of Fame is Tim Brennan.
As Cheryl said, my name is Tim Brennan, and I'm delighted to be here tonight to speak to you on behalf of Katie Streck Klingner, who is actually my niece. First of all, before I begin to talk about her accomplishments, I want to thank both of our families, or all of our families, for being here tonight. A lot of us traveled a long way to get here. And of course, the Streck family friends, and of course, Katie's friends, who participated today in the Cancer Walk on behalf of Katie's mom, Paula. And so thank you all for your continued support from day one. We really appreciate it. I have actually known Katie all of her life. Her mother used to say, if you can't kick it, throw it, shoot it, she had no use for it. Her cousin, my son, had the exact same ideas and the same attitude, and growing up they were inseparable when they got together. Katie, in her life, whatever season it was, she found a sport to play, all the time doing something. As she got older, she focused on basketball, and she got pretty good at it. She chose to go to Carroll, my sister tells me, after a great year in CYO at Ascension. And some of her friends from Ascension are here tonight with her. She went to Carroll because she wanted to make a difference. And the fact that we're here today, I think, tells you that she did make the difference. She not only played at Carroll, but during that same time, she was a member of the Dayton Lady Hoop Stars. And while she was a member of that team, they won 3 state championships and 4 national championships. During her time here at Carroll, she achieved a lot of things. As we know, she was the varsity C and team MVP in her freshman year, and she was the MML first team Southwest District, honorable mention. In her sophomore year, she was also the varsity C team MVP, MML First League, and she was the MVP of the Cage Classic. During her junior year, she did the same things over again, and she added a couple other ones. She became the MML Player of the Year, the Southwest District second team, Ohio Honorable Mention, Cage Classic MVP, and she won what I think is one of the most outstanding awards, the Ray Burek Women in Sports Awards. In her senior year, she did all of that other stuff, and she became the District 15 Player of the Year, the Carroll High School Woman Athlete of the Year, and she won that prestigious Ray Burek Award one more time. And if you followed the highlights, it runs like this: 4 times team MVP, 4 times team MVP, 4 times MMLA first team, 2 times MML League Player of the Year, and 2 Ray Burek Awards. She was the District Player of the Year in her senior year. And she wanted to make that difference, remember? And her team in her junior year was the first time that Carroll made it into the sectional tournament. And they were leading Beavercreek at halftime in the next game, right? Yeah. Katie scored her 1,000th point in her junior year, January 20th, 2003. She is still the leading scorer in the history of Carroll with 1,413 points. She also told me today that she's not going to be like the Miami Dolphins. She is encouraging someone to beat her record, and she will be here when that happens. She was also an academic, all academic in 5 semesters, but I think there were 8 semesters, so I'm not sure about those last 3. I think that you can see that she made a difference while she was at Carroll. Katie went on to play, like some of the people I heard about tonight, at Wilmington College. She ended her career there as the 3rd all-time leading scorer in the history of Wilmington College. And in her senior year, she was an All-American. With all these accomplishments, for those of you who know her, you all know her that she is a much better person than she is a basketball player. And with just all the things I just read off there, I think you understand she was a pretty good basketball player. And she was pretty good at that. Katie is married to Jeremy, and of course Jeremy wanted me to put a plug in for him. He's actually in the Hall of Fame down the road at Beavercreek. So I would be delighted if you would join me in congratulating Katie on her enrollment into the Carroll Hall of Fame.
All right, thank you. So I learned today, after 32 years of calling that wonderful gentleman Uncle Tim, I learned today that he wants to be called Tim. So to the guy formerly known as Uncle Tim, Tim, thank you. First and foremost, thank you to the Carroll Hall of Fame Committee for being considered and selected for this prestigious award. It is truly an honor, and I'm humbled to be a part of such a prestigious group. Also, congratulations to my fellow 2017 Hall of Fame classmates. There's an enormous amount of talent in this room, not only this year, but from previous years. And I am privileged to be included in that group. I feel like I need to do a special thank you to Coach Hall, and I feel like I need to call you Coach Hall. Even though you never coached me, you laid the foundation for me. So thank you very much. While I've had over a year to prepare and think about this speech, which I really have thought about it for a year, which goes against my husband's advice, write it in the parking lot the day before. I have surely struggled to get my thoughts and words of gratitude on paper, as no matter what I say, it will never portray how I really feel and appreciate all the love and support, but here's my best shot. To all the administrators and teachers at Carroll High School, thank you for the faith-filled education and instilling values in me that will last a lifetime. I am grateful for my time at Carroll. To all the people here on my behalf, my in-laws, my friends' parents, my parents' friends, AKA the friends that are like family. Thank you for all the love and support throughout the years. Some have known me since birth and have treated me like their own. And while my parents did one hell of a job raising me, you know what they say? It takes a village. I'm so fortunate and lucky to have the biggest cheering section, not only at basketball games, but in life. Thank you. To my aunts and uncles who have traveled from Chicago, Columbus, and that state up north, thank you for being here tonight. As you know, family is my number one, and I by far have the number one family. Thank you for your support and for keeping this bus in motion. To my husband, although I did not know you in high school, I'm sure if I did know you, you would be my number one fan. How do I know that? Well, for one reason, you hung up your Creek black and orange tonight and put on your Carroll blue and red. Thank you. And I'm sorry to take away the title of the only Hall of Famer in our household. But I sure hope you can make some room for the newest Hall of Famer. I would be remorseful if I did not give a shout out to one of my number one fans, Katie Burita. We could always count on Katie B being in the front row, cheering us on, even though she hated basketball. Which I'm not sure how we've stayed friends so long. I'm just kidding. But oh, she does keep me humbled when she periodically reminds me of how she beat me in Pig one time. Thanks, Kate. To my teammates, life is all about choices. I was faced with one at a young age. I was given the choice of where I wanted to go to high school. My parents gave me the choice, CJ, Beavercreek, or Carroll. As you may or may not have known, CJ and Beavercreek were hotbeds for girls basketball back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Winning state titles every year, sending girls to Division I schools like UConn, Ohio State, Notre Dame, UD, and Duke, to name a few. While it was a dream to win a state title and play Division I basketball, I wanted to do so at Carroll. I wanted to do so with teammates I played with since 4th grade. I wanted to do so with coaches that would help build a program. I wanted to make a difference and contribute as a freshman. Going to Carroll was one of the best decisions I have ever made. While all 4 years were different, there was one constant, and that was the love for my teammates. And the fun we had, dancing and singing on the bus, basketball camps in North Carolina, winning the first ever sectional championship for girls basketball, and the other shenanigans on and off the court, just to name a few. With a game like basketball, this honor is less of an individual honor and more of a team honor. This would absolutely not be possible without all of my teammates throughout the years. I am fortunate to have a few teammates here, Karen, Chelsea. Thank you, and you are a huge part of this honor, and I will forever be thankful for you. To my coaches, over my basketball career, many coaches have played a large role in my life, but two in particular played a large role in my high school career, Brian McGloin and Rob Berry. Both played a huge part in my development, confidence, and athletic ability, and this honor would not be possible without them. My high school career was a tale of two halves in regards to coaches. Brian McGloin, thank you for your time and dedication my freshman and sophomore year. They're not always the smoothest, but your knowledge and enthusiasm moved me and the program in the right direction. Rob Berry, thank you for your devotion to the Carroll program and to all the girls that have come through the program. Rob truly put Carroll's girls basketball on the map with multiple trips to regional and state tournaments. I appreciate Rob's daughter, Chelsea, being here on his behalf, as I'm sure he's looking down, enjoying this honor as much as I am. And I hope he is proud of his first of what will be many girls to be inducted to the Carroll Hall of Fame. Thank you. To my grandparents, what is the saying? 2 things are guaranteed in life. Well, during my high school career, I was guaranteed to have all grandparents in the crowd wearing their Carroll sweatshirts with their headshot button of me. I actually think we buried my grandparents with that button, pinned on their sweatshirts, cheering for their favorite granddaughter, and also sometimes sharing their opinions with the referees. If I remember correctly, I believe my half-blind grandpa almost got thrown out of a game giving the refs advice, as I'm sure they were picking on me. They all showed unconditional love and very rarely criticized my game. I always enjoy their post-game hugs, and every now and again, that $5 or $10 they slipped. Although my grandparents are no longer here with us, I'm sure they are watching down with more pride than what they had when they were here, which, if you knew my grandparents, that is an enormous amount of pride. To my Aunt Judy, who hauled my grandparents around so that they could be at all the games, and was also one of my biggest fans. Thank you for all your support then and now. It's appreciated more than you'll ever know. And thank you and Uncle Dave for spending your birthday with us tonight. To my brother Kenny, thank you for your constant game of one-on-one in the driveway, throwing elbows to make me tougher, and your constant tough love growing up. You sacrificed your spring and summer weekends to sit in gyms, although I don't think you had a choice, and even accepted family vacations planned around AAU tournaments. Although you're welcome once you got old enough to stay at home by yourself. I know once I got to Carroll, you were too cool for me, with you being the senior and me being the freshman. But once you were the first time you were referred to as Katie's brother, you then realized how cool I was. But seriously, thank you for all the love and support. I'm proud and honored to be Kenny's sister. All right, I can't promise anything on this next section, so bear with me. Last but not least, to my parents. This is by far the toughest part of this speech. No matter what I wrote on this paper, no matter what I say, I will never be able to express my true gratitude, love, and appreciation for everything they have done for me. The time, support, values, faith, dedication, and not to mention money you have poured into me will never ever be able to be repaid. The countless hours in gyms, the thousands of miles on the car, the latest and greatest basketball shoes and equipment, the numerous days and nights away from home, the several camps, AAU tournaments, speed programs, which for some reason never worked, games, banquets, are just a few of the sacrifices you made in order for me to follow and achieve my dreams. I don't ever recall my parents missing a high school game, home or away, while both working full-time, providing for Kenny and I so they could send us to Carroll. Now that I'm an adult, it hits me on how much you sacrificed, as I know how much I value my time, especially on the weekends, and I hope one day can do the same for my family. When Julie called to share the good news that I had been selected to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was not very excited, rather somewhat sad. Julie probably thought I was ungrateful, but that definitely was not the case. The situation was, my mom had passed 2 weeks prior to that call. When I received that call, it hit me. My mom would not be here with me to accept this award. I never dreamed this day would come and my mom would not be here. As the time has gone on, I have gained excitement about this honor because I know this is what my mom wanted. She and my dad worked hard to get me to this place. This would not be possible without her. She is missed every day, but I hope she's watching down alongside with my grandparents and Coach Barry with excitement and pride. And I hope one day I can be half the mom and cheerleader she was. Dad, thank you for your hard work and dedication to get me to where I am today. You and Mom truly deserve this award. I will forever be grateful for everything you've done. In closing, once again, congratulations to my new teammates, the Hall of Fame class of 2017. It has been a fun weekend and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Congratulations, Katie. Happy birthday, Aunt Judy and Uncle Dave. You guys can celebrate with Zach Shelton after this is over, okay? Shot at the bar with Chris Youngerman. I got to give kudos to the Hall of Fame committee for this next induction. What a stroke of genius to induct an entire team. Not only did they bring great pride and excitement to the Carroll community, but they filled up a whole lot of seats at this dinner tonight. I had the good fortune to be in the stands of Welcome Stadium that day in the fall of 1980. The team from Oak Hills in Cincinnati looked big and scary and hairy, on their legs even. Our boys seemed smaller and less hairy, and I felt intimidated for them, but they sure weren't. As we all know, this team is now part of Carroll High School athletic lore. Here to present the 1980 state championship soccer team for induction to the Carroll High School Athletic Hall of Fame is their Hall of Fame coach, Mike Donohue.
It's sort of funny, you know, it ends up being a long evening, and in one of the breaks I went outside, and Billy Meyer happened to be out there at the same time, and he said they put the old guys last. So hopefully, I think we're all still here, but I want to say it's a great honor, and I'm certainly humbled to try to represent this great group of guys. This weekend is, in talking with them, it's really a very, very special weekend. And so many of them said this is a huge deal. So I'd like to thank the committee and everybody involved with the decision to honor our team. Some in the Dayton community considered this sort of a fairy tale. Some thought it was a miracle. And looking back, I think it was more or less a product of a group of players who had excellent ability, determination, and a little bit of magic. With this formula, they were able to win the last one division championship in the state of Ohio. So in that particular tournament, when they started, there was 170 teams, and it still is hard to believe that we emerged the winner. The 1980 soccer team had a very strong core. The year before, we won 16 games and only lost 2, tied 2, and went quite a ways in the tournament. I think we won 4 games. But in the beginning of the year, it was kind of rough. We lost a number of games. We had illness. We had to learn new roles. But after a while, we started to turn things around. The mantra I heard tonight from one of our players is, time to turn over a new leaf. Well, that new leaf was turned over at Fairmont, and our Patriot family would be very proud because for some reason the PA didn't work that night. And we sang, I guess it was during the day, and we sang the national anthem a cappella. We didn't win any awards for that, but I think we did get a line in the newspaper as a result. Also, Jeff Jameson was pointed out to me that that was his first game he started. So he started in the goal that night, and he also mentioned to me he only lasted a short period of time. Also, that day, or the day after that, I think, my second son was born. So once he was born, and we realized we could sing so well, we did very well. And out of those last games, I think we were 15-1-1 for the rest of the season. We entered the tournament with an 8-5-1 record, and our first game was against Greenview. We had played Greenview before, and we beat them 7-0. So our boys were so confident that we were behind 2-0 at halftime. So during the second half, we managed to right the ship, and we were able to win 3-2 on a goal scored by David Gant. Then for 6 consecutive games, we were the underdogs. No one really expected us to win. We were playing a number of teams that we had lost close games to early or tied early. The first one being Yellow Springs. And that particular night, Eric Helser, who was here last night, was able to score a winning goal, and we had a memorable bus ride home. Yellow Springs wasn't real happy about losing that game. Then we faced a Fairborn team that we had lost to during the season, and they continually tried to get Matt Graham offside, trying to hold their entire defensive team at midfield, and we proceeded to dump the ball behind them, and Matt ran on them and got 2 goals, and we emerged with a 4-2 victory. Then after that was the real big game, because the school sort of knew that the game, if we would win, I'm getting ahead of myself here. That's what it is. You put the old guy last. But I guess the third game was against Alter. And Alter, the game before, had defeated Centerville. So they were playing very, very well. And the game ended 0-0. And then we went to penalty kicks. And that was in a different kind of a format than we had in previous years, where one time we played 25 overtimes. Maybe some of you remember that in 1977. But the way it was then was we took a set of 5 penalty kicks, and each team took all 5. Well, it was tied 3-3 at that point. So then it goes to sudden death penalty kicks. Believe it or not, kick 6, kick 7 were missed by both teams. Then kick 8, Jeff Pop, all 5'1", 92 pounds of him, put the ball in the goal, but Alter answered. So we're still tied. Then Chris Goulet came, and I don't think he had taken a penalty kick in his career at Carroll, and put it right in, and Chris Axer was saying his prayers. He mentioned that to me quite a few times this weekend, and the Alter kick hit the crossbar and went off. Now was the big game that I was alluding to before, and that was against Dayton Christian. And they had just defeated Northmont. So the school knew that if we won, we would be in the Final Four. And if we won the Final Four, the first game of the semifinals was in the afternoon on Friday. So talk about pressure. I mean, winning those other games was nothing, but having to answer to all your classmates that if you lost and you had to go to school on Friday, that wasn't really a pretty thing. So in that particular game, we scored early in the second quarter. It was a head ball by Eddie Miller, a cross by Matt Graham. So we managed to hang on and won that game, and here it was. We were in the Final Four. So it was that particular year, as I mentioned, they were going to be at Welcome Stadium. And of course, Welcome Stadium had turf. Now, the turf in Welcome Stadium was not like the turf today. If you look at the floor, that's about what the turf was like, and it had sort of concrete underneath. So it was really, really rough. So we had no place we could practice, really, and get that type of situation. So we ended up making an arrangement. We went down to the University of Cincinnati and played on the Nippert Stadium there. We had half the field. Oak Hills, which we glanced at a little bit as we were practicing, had the other half. And like Cheryl said, they were big, they were hairy, that's right. And also, as Dave Gant mentioned in the final game, a whole lot of them didn't speak English. So we spent that night then at UC and came back, and that was our 1 hour of practice. So what to do next? Well, on the PA, Mr. Eckert said, everybody get your cars out of the parking lot. The soccer team is practicing in the parking lot. But believe it or not, we practiced in the parking lot. But that wasn't good enough, so we bumped it up a little bit, and we decided, let's go to Welcome Stadium. So I made a phone call to Dayton Public School, and it's probably the only time they ever got a call like that. I called them and asked them if we could practice in their parking lot. So they said, okay. So we went down in the school bus after school. I think we had some brooms in the bus, cleaned off all the glass, and then played. And it was a little bit of a joke for us or whatever, because we kept saying, tomorrow we get to go in. So we kept saying, tomorrow we get to go in. So finally tomorrow arrived, and we went to the first gate that was close to where we parked the bus, and they wouldn't let us in. They said, you can't get in this gate. So then we went to a second gate, and you know, we're all dressed. I guess they thought maybe we were imposters or something, because some people thought we were. But anyway, they said, no, you can't go in here. You have to go around there. So finally, at the third gate, they let us in. And in that particular game, of course, we played Cleveland-Brecksville. They were a very skilled team. It was a very windy, cold day. So I see some heads nodding if you happen to be in the audience. And the boys had a little bit of preparation for this about the hardness of the turf. So some of them had gone and invested in pantyhose, and that was sort of interesting. You know, these macho soccer players. I guess we were never really considered that macho, but going to the women's section with pantyhose, and of course they needed larger pairs, so you know they needed to get a big pair, except for Jeff and Phil. So anyway, we played the game. They scored early, and we tied the score on a nice sort of individual goal by Pat McDivitt. And then here we are, overtimes again. It's like the Carroll curse. So we went into the first pair of overtimes, and those are the ones where you played the whole time and still tied. And then we went into the second set of overtimes, which was sudden death. So when anybody scored, it was over. So they had chances, we had some chances, and then finally, with 23 seconds left in the last sudden death overtime, we scored. And Axer was so happy because we had heard all along what great penalty kickers they were, and we didn't want to really face that situation again. So it was a throw-in from Matt Graham, and remember this surface, hard, rough, ball bounced high, their goalie committed, and Pat McDivitt put it in the net. So with that, of course, everybody went crazy and had a good time. So then the next day, and we played back-to-back days. I don't know if they would ever do that today, but we played back-to-back games then again at Welcome Stadium. And that was a different kind of day. It was a nice, sunny, you know, really pleasant day. The stands were packed, and like Matt Graham said, Mr. Spurl was in the stands. Yeah. He was in the stands for both games. So that was sort of special. And again, they scored early, and again, as I mentioned, they were just really big guys, and they were really, really skilled. And our defense was really so strong. It seemed like in that game, almost when we got chances, we scored. So we ended up tying the score. And then, again, it was a tie score going into overtime. And then what we did was in the second overtime, which was not sudden death, we managed to score. And it was a corner kick. Steve Beavercreek, Matt Graham pushed it over to the other side, and John Napke was there by himself. And he hit the ball right into the corner. And we had, I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but we had somebody from Channel 7 got pictures of, or Mr. McDivitt got pictures of all the goals at Welcome Stadium. So they were out there on one of the video out there. And if you watch them, they were all the kind of goals where you could almost see the panels on the ball. So, you know, they were just put in the right place at the right time. So here we are, everybody storms the field. I mean, what an experience. And after celebration, it was time to go home. And of course, it was our problem that we were like 4 minutes from home. So nobody really wanted to go home that quickly. So somebody mentioned, well, let's drive around downtown. Let's go to CJ. So of course, we're in the red, white, and blue bus. You know, it wasn't the bus that, you know, you had to read the sign and see, oh, that's Carroll. You know, you knew who it was because it was red, white, and blue. So we went through town, we honked the horns, people honked the horns, we found a lot of friends. And remember that a cappella singing of the national anthem? Our boys, that was the days of the Beatles, I guess, they were all singing Hey Jude, hanging out the windows. Steve Pop was driving the bus. He could, you know, and when you're in a bus, everybody's supposed to be seated, so the bus driver could make his way. Well, Steve had everybody out the windows, but it was really a special time. As I look back on that magical year, you know, I think of the people involved, and we obviously had a very stout defense. And most all the time, that defense involved Steve Beavercreek at stopper and Matt Carmelli at sweeper. And then we had 2 5-foot outside fullbacks. Actually, they weren't quite the same size. Phil towered over Jeff. It was interesting tonight when Jeff came in, a lot of people didn't recognize him because he was taller than quite a few of them. So that was the key to our team, along with Chris Axer. And Chris just did a fabulous job. He had a real compliment this evening from Billy Meyer, who played at Wilmington. And he said, you know, in all the years at Wilmington, or at Carroll, I didn't necessarily appreciate how well you played down the stretch. But here he was, a 4-year college player, and he really recognized the quality that Chris gave us in the goal. There you go. On offense, we had a whole lot of people that scored goals, and that was an amazing part about it. Key goals in the tournament, we had David Gant, Eric Helser, Eddie Miller gets the game winner. Jeff Pop scored a goal as a sophomore in the Alter game. Chris Goulet winning the game. Billy Meyer scoring a penalty kick there. And of course, consistently, it was John Napke, Matt Graham, and Pat McDivitt in the middle of most things offensively. Our midfielders, of course, they never quite get the attention they deserve because the defenders are so strong and the attackers get the glory when they score. But they were fabulous too. Mostly in the midfield, we had Billy Meyer and Kevin McHugh, Dave Gant, Dave Thurman, and Eric Helser, Chris Goulet, and many others contributed quite a bit to that part of the field. Of course, a team is greater than the sum of the players that play, and we had a great bench. And that bench was made up of Andy Phillips, Mike Castle, Mike Herzing, Dan Ebert, Tom Jackson, Jeff Schran, Eric Trageser, Steve Wetzel, and Jeff Jameson. Jeff maybe had the toughest job because, you know, Axer's all over the place, and he knows at any one time he's in the game. So he did a great job for us also. We were led by Steve Pop, and Leo Knoll did a great job, not only with our team, but with those players on their reserve teams. They were calm and steady and really helped our team be the best. Our team manager and trainer, Ed Cronenberger, was always there, helping us and making sure everything we needed, we had. He was Mr. Reliable. I was looking back through a little bit of the memorabilia, and I saw a letter from Gary Avedikian. And I don't know if you know him, but he was like the king of soccer in Dayton at that point. And he wrote a very complimentary letter to our players. He said that it was such a joy to watch Carroll advance when no one gave them much of a chance. They displayed an absolute joy and enthusiasm for the game that seems missing usually in today's soccer game. As we approached each game, our team mantra was pretty much the same. It's a nice day, let's go out and play, and let's have some fun. It certainly was not only fun, but many treasured magic memories. Congratulations to the 1980 Carroll Championship soccer team. Talented players, determined players, but more than anything, a team. Many of these players went on and played in college, even some professionally. So certainly are worthy of recognition from Carroll. So again, thank you for all your support, and the team, come on up here, I guess.
What we'd like to do is pass out some awards to each of the soccer players around that 1980 team. Chris Axer. Chris. Okay, stay again. Oh, no, he's not good. Okay, will you hold on over there? Okay. Is that Helzer here too, or is he gone? No, he's not here. Jeffrey Jameson. Ed Cronenberger. Matt Graham. Kevin McHugh. Billy Meyer. Philip O'Halloran. Coach Mike Donohue. Steve Pop. And Jeff Pop. Thank you very much, team. Now what we would like was the existing Hall of Famers, including Chris and Pam, okay, to come on up here and line up so we can pass out the rings to the inductees. Terry Neal Williams.
Everybody down there.
But a handshake, please.
Okay, yeah. Jason Bullens. Mark DiSalvo. Katie Flaute. Shelton. Alex VanderSluijs. And Katie Streck Klinger. Okay, so let's give a round of applause to the 1980 soccer team and this year's class of inductees.